Anything we need to go over real quick before we go live?
No, just I just have some questions about Lil Kim and injecting Lysol.
I didn't know you liked big ass rappers.
On this episode of the John1911 Podcast, Tentin Quarantino, the HK Forum is mad, Mr. Gunsandgear gets shut down, and bulletproof boob jobs.
Okay, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the John1911 Podcast. We have Danny, Marky, and Freeze here, and I don't know what the hell I'm saying because I'm half distracted in editing videos. So what's going on, guys? So on this Friday morning, or Monday morning, Jesus, I've got COVID brain. Monday morning, I've been so busy.
You are so discombobulated today.
Oh my God! You know what? I broke my Rolex, and I have no sense of time. That's my problem. So, nobody has any sympathy on me either. I'm like Nancy Pelosi with ice cream.
Ouch! Wow, yeah. That is quite true, though.
Yeah. Do you have a $24,000 refrigerator?
Maybe. I don't know.
Well, I don't.
My refrigerator cost $50 off the back of the truck, but
yeah, it fell off.
Hey, you know what? I don't know why this seems strangely appropriate, but I was watching a video last night and about Rolls Royce cars, and they're trying to drum up business, and most of the cars I'd say a significant number of the cars they were selling before the pandemic were in China. But they sell them around the world, the rich people. And there's one guy, and he pinstripes the Rolls Royce cars, and he pinstripes them freehand. He's the only guy that's allowed to do it. And check this out. Like if you order a car, Rolls Royce, and they bring it to you, and you need something done to it, you don't send it back to Rolls Royce. They come to you around the world. That's how it works. And this dude who does pinstriping, they're like, well, are those like horsehair brushes? And he's like, oh, no. He says, most of the brushes made today are synthetic, but we have found they leave lines in our pinstriping. So we use squirrel hair. So I was like, I'm looking at this brush, and this is so esoteric. He's using I think it must be from the tail, but he's using a brush from the tail of a squirrel to pinstripe a Rolls Royce. So now the land of what it's like to live with $24,000 refrigerators, Nancy Pelosi, and she's probably had a refrigerator pinstripe with squirrel hair brushes.
Yeah,
so.
Rich people problems.
People problems.
And she still probably gets a donation from PETA.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Look, the thing is, like this, the touch on. I mean, that whole ice cream thing with her. Like, I'm not trying to be mean to Fox News or to Republicans, but trying to make hay out of that, I thought, was kind of bullshit. I mean, look, the dude that like the person that TV hit she was with is like this, like he's like the female Ellen DeGeneres, or he's the male Ellen DeGeneres, I guess. Well, I mean, I don't know, maybe it could be female Ellen DeGeneres, but you know what I mean? Like it wasn't like Fox News Sunday, or it wasn't, Meet the Press. I mean, it's a campy TV show, daytime TV show, and she's an old woman, and she's stuck in her house, and she's lived a long life, and she probably has her favorite ice cream she eats every night. It's like, okay. I mean, I'm like, it wasn't like, hey, let's talk about, what we're going to do about stimulus 4, stimulus 5. What about voting remotely? And they were talking about fucking ice cream, and I thought the partisans trying to make hay out of that, it was so cheap. I was like, whatever, dude. I mean, you can destroy Nancy Pelosi on her record. You don't need to fucking do this bullshit. She's got a life.
Well, aesthetics are everything.
Yeah, they are. I mean, just look at half the 1911s that are sold today.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Marky, I really enjoyed your senior picture you sent me with the waving hair in the wind.
Oh, the senior picture. Freeze didn't see that.
No, I did not.
You're lucky.
I'll post it. I posted it on Twitter. There's a picture of a I don't know who this dude is, but I think he's like a race car driver. He must have been this really like popular race car driver, maybe in the 70s. And so there's like a promo shot, and he's got his racing suit on, and it's zipped halfway down to his dick, and he's like next to a car, and there's this half naked girl next to him looking up, and like she literally, I think she might even be naked, just the way she's holding her arms at her hip, and she's looking longingly up at him. And like, this is a professional promo picture that was probably printed like in magazines. Whereas like today, it would be scandal. And the guy's got like feathered hair and all that shit, or whatever his hair is. And I just was like, oh, look, it's my senior picture from high school. It's made the internet.
There were a few of us that had feathered hair back in the 70s.
I remember I bet you Freeze had feathered hair.
I did have feathered hair, of course. And I still, well, it's not feathered, but I'm like probably the only one in this group that still has hair.
Well, I have summer hair. Some are here, some are there, some are over there.
Yeah. I still have a full head.
This took a shocking turn. So I'll tell you what, I've got my COVID haircut right now, and I bought some clippers. And
I got a haircut this week.
From a real barber?
You got a bootleg haircut?
My girl came through.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
Hey, I was talking to.
Well, now she did it in my garage, and she wouldn't do my mustache, beard, or anything like that because she didn't want to get around my mouth. Which I understand that my mouth is filthy.
as we hear every week on this podcast. Bootleg. Well, I was talking to the police chief of one police department. And I noticed all the cops were clean cut that day. And he's like, yeah, we had a guy who they found a barber, and they came to the guy's house. And so the whole PD that wasn't working went over and lined up, and they all got their haircuts at this dude's house some night, like some speakeasy ghetto, like knock 3 times and say the password haircut,
Yeah.
And it's just so out of control right now how all this is. So
Well,
I thought that was funny.
But
go ahead.
Since we're talking about the COVID-19, I saw a picture of a whiteboard where someone wrote a bunch of COVID-19 baby names.
Oh my God! This had to be no. You saw a whiteboard. I just want to say one of two things. This obviously was at a place of work. And I want to say it wasn't at the John1911 Armory, so don't fucking protest. This had to be at your fucking work.
No, this was. I came across this third party. It's not ours, but the sad thing is, you're going to see some of these names come up in a couple of years.
Sure.
I mean, like okay. Now, a lot of them are, are pretty, commonplace, like Charmina, Corona Lisa, Lil Rona.
No, that's just a joke.
But now I'm telling you, these names will come up. I see weird names like this in the ghetto all the time, but my favorite one on this list, and I'm sure no one's in the ghettos even smart enough to come up with this. Whoever made this list was pretty good. But my favorite one is Tentin Quarantino.
Oh my God. Thank you, everybody. That's it. We're out of here.
You'll like Pandemica.
I mean,
these names are coming.
You'll hear these people that'll make these comments like like they'll say weird ghetto names, and it's like, well, okay, that's true, maybe. But here's the thing: people that do that are not students of history. Because Freeze, you know this as well as I do. Like if you go back even just to like the 1800s forward in the United States, and you look at people's names, you see some of the most amazing stuff. That, I mean, if you were to use the same logic that people use today about the ghetto, I mean, these names are crazy, like by today's standards, and it's very common. So, like, I think it was probably an American cultural. Like everybody was named Tom, Dick, and Harry, Michael, John, and Jack. You know what I mean? For like maybe 60 years or 80 years. But traditionally, there were all kinds of crazy names out there. And, in white settler America, or whatever you want to call it. Like that was fairly common. So,
well, look back in the early 1800s. What was Grant's first name when he was born?
Ulysses, yeah.
I don't think that was commonplace.
It was probably more common than it is today, but I'm not going to say it was a common name. Well, hold on. I'll tell the listeners this. My grandfather's first name is Virgil. Okay. And my grandfather on the other side, his first name was Albert. He had two brothers named Kermit and Bailey. That was Albert, Kermit, and I had an Uncle Kermit.
I went to school with a black guy named Kermit.
Yeah, Kermit was a more common, like Kermit. You know what ruined Kermit as a name was Kermit the Frog. Once that, because like that puppet show didn't pull that name out of their ass.
Yeah,
Kermit actually was a real name, and you know what? I bet a lot of people they don't even know that.
Well, yeah, probably not, because everyone does. Everyone does associate it with a frog.
We sound like a bunch of bitter old white men that have too much time on their hands because of a COVID quarantine, don't we? It's just bad.
Sure. Why do I got to be the white guy?
You know what? We're going to go ahead and go there because Danny and I have been texting and kind of talking about it. So I don't know where we're at today, but we had alluded to on this podcast about a Black Swan event, and the Black Swan event is if a major world leader dies and of COVID, but it could be anything, but of COVID, and causes some kind of instability or strife in some part of the world. And there has been talk that apparently Little Kim, the Phat-ass rapper from North Korea, Phat, by the way, don't hit me. The Phat-ass rapper from North Korea apparently might be in dire straits. What's the latest on that this morning, Chief Political Correspondent? So, Chief Foreign Correspondent.
Oh, Danny. Now I got a subtitle to my title. Thank you.
Yes.
Well, what I have read so far is that DPRK is keeping quite a lid on this. Now, order of secession, if anything does happen, would be Kim's sister. And from what I've read, she is 10 times worse than him. So,
of course she is, because the sons, daughters, and sisters and brothers of dictators are always worse. Kings, I mean, they're always. I mean, like this was so predictable. Like as soon as this started to break and people started to figure out that, like, well, maybe will this girl end up being the leader of North Korea? And all these people are like, oh gosh, North Korea is going to have the first female leader before the United States. And it's like, really? Like, do you even know what you're talking about here? It's like all these liberals posted all this shit on the internet. Then they had to delete it because they had to be explained to them. You're like rude. You're using gender politics to root for like the first female, like, mass murderer. Like, it's like this woman is going to be bonkers.
The liberals and millennials obviously never heard of Madam Butterfly.
Yeah, and it's just like, well, I mean, like, what is the order of what is the continuity of government in North Korea? It's like, well, it is I guess I'm told, I've never been to North Korea, but I guess it's a sexist society, male-dominated society, and are these old generals gonna take orders from this young girl? I mean, I hate to say, she's 30. She's not even 35, is she? She's probably not even legally old enough to be president in the United States. She's pretty young. Well, she's in her 30s.
That's a very good point, Marky. Will these generals go rogue?
And that's, and you and I were talking about that, like we were over the weekend, and it's like, well, how do you figure out what's going on? And I said, it's signals intelligence. Even if you can't read the communications, you start looking at patterns, because you're always looking at the patterns of how countries operate. If all of a sudden you start seeing unusual levels of communication between, say, like wherever the seat of government is, Pyongyang in North Korea, like their White House, or whatever they call it, and and say like Politburo members, or the whatever their central committee, like all of a sudden, like they plan to have meetings. If all of a sudden all the people get caught, there's all this communication, you can't read what it is, but it's all lighting up, and all of a sudden they're all moving to come to the Capitol. You could be like, what's going on there? Or are there military units inside the Capitol that are, being activated and moving around? Is there any unusual movements or activity? Or maybe you're seeing a bunch of communication from Pyongyang to like maybe major generals around the country. Like, they're all talking, and you could have some rogue general that's, he's in charge of whatever. And he's like, I'm not going to fucking listen to this little girl.
Well,
and they decide to have at it.
Well, two things I know for sure that I would not want to be near. And the two things are that is the physician that did little Kim's heart surgery, or the DMZ.
They're saying that if there is some kind of issue, that they will that they'll close all the borders. That's another one. Like, what's going on with the border between North Korea and China? Is it like, do they lock it down? Like, do the North Koreans lock down the border? Because there's a lot of movement across that border, legally and illegally, and that would be a sign of, that could be a sign of issues. I mean, like, it could very well be,
Excuse me,
China, maybe monitoring the situation, and maybe they're like, okay, it's time to go in. Like, let's say, like, somebody figures out Kim Dumbass, I don't know, what's a Korean name? General Dim Sok has decided that he's got access to a nuclear weapon. He's got to some rocket, and they're questioning whether he's actually going to stay loyal. And like, what do you do? Like, if China or the United States thinks this dude's going to use a nuclear weapon, do we sit by and let it happen, or do we go in and try to grab him?
No, you invade. You purge him.
Well, no. But if it's if it's on the outside, like like maybe we have better signals intelligence than the Koreans have right now. There could be chaos in North Korea. Like, what if the NSA comes to the president and goes, General Dim Sok looks like it's a Hollywood example. Like, he's fueling the missile. Why is he fueling the missile? Where's he going to shoot it at? What's he doing? Is he going to shoot it at Pyongyang, or is he going to shoot it at the summer house where Kim is, supposedly, sitting at? Or is he going to shoot it at, at South Korea? Is he going to shoot it? He could shoot it at China. I mean, do you sit by, do you make that argument? Do you go, well, if it's an internal matter, are we going to let the North Koreans use nuclear weapons against each other?
Well, here's my question. I don't think the United States is going to be sitting on their hands in any way on this, because they're going to keep apprised of the situation. So I got a funny feeling the SR-72s might be airborne again.
Oh, everything is. Oh, yeah. Everybody's looking at everything out there. But I mean, it may turn out that this is well, what was it? Somebody posted this on the internet. They said Kim is the kind of guy to erroneously publish reports of his own death. So when he comes out of the hospital, he can purge everybody that celebrated. And while that was a joke, there's some truth to that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And here's the other thing. It's like, remember when there was the assassination attempt against Hitler, and people look at that today in terms of like that. Well, what happened was going to happen. Well, there was debate. There was all this communication between wherever he was at, like, I don't know, in Austria or somewhere like that. Not the Eagles Nest. I don't know where the hell he was, Wolf's Lair. I don't know what, but you know, it's like, is he dead? Is he? You know, people are like, he's dead, and people are like, are you sure he's dead? Like, you know, Colonel so and so says he's dead, and like we're getting radio reports from some general. It's like he's not dead, and it, you know, it's like, who do you believe? And if you make the wrong decision, you're going to get the bullet. You know, I mean, none of this is that simple.
Yeah. Stauffenberg missed his chance there.
Well,
yeah, I mean, you know, I mean, he did get a statue. Like they have a statue to him today, and that's what Germany hangs their hat on, by the way.
Mm.
You know, this, you know, that's their post World War II German, like we're all bad. Stauffenberg, was his name? Was it Stauffenberg?
Yeah,
it was something like that.
Well, here's my question. Marky, you might have touched on a very good point. Maybe all this, what is that saying? My death has been greatly exaggerated, or whatever it is. Maybe Ken comes out and he'll out the people that we're celebrating or whatever, number one. And number two, for the propaganda, look, fearless leader beats death. You know, he's invincible, things like that. Oh, they could take that and run with it forever.
Oh yeah, and see, that's kind of you know, that's kind of the thing too. You got to realize that's like a difference between, you know, like our country and most modern countries in, say, North Korea. He's kind of a god. Like this whole, like, this idea of like this special North Korean kind of manifest destiny, the Juche, and you know. Like they treat these people like they're demigods. And so here's the thing, like the reports that we're getting now that, you know, does a demigod need to go into surgery? First of all, I don't know how North Korea handles that. Do they even say that a demigod needs medical treatment? And then the second thing is, you know, if the demigod dies, even if, you know, it's the doctor's fault, because demigods don't die, the doctor must have made a mistake.
Right.
You see what I mean? Like even the reports that we're getting about this doctor and like all this stuff, like that could be so batshit crazy, wrong, made up, just spin. You don't know what the hell we're looking at here. So, I mean, you know, it's like, what happens when you know, does a demigod need to get the paddles clear? You know what I mean? It's like, I mean, well, this is the thing I told you this weekend, Danny. We probably know more here in the United States, just us three, than the average North Korean soldier does right now. Like, there's probably a fair amount of people in North Korea that don't know, or maybe didn't know that even that little Kim was having issues.
Wow,
that's interesting, but yeah, that's real believable, because they pretty much keep the media locked down.
Now, there's supposedly, I don't know how many thousands of, there's a fair amount of smartphones in North Korea now. So the idea that these people can't talk amongst each other, you know, like it's less true than it was even like 15 years ago. But, you know, I mean, it's very possible that we know more now here in the Midwest than a bunch of guys on the DMZ do. They may not even realize there's a problem. I mean, that's not unusual.
Well, one thing you won't get in North Korea, like you're getting here, is the public disobedience to the people going out.
Yeah, they pretty much you get the brick wall when that happens.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that does not make the news much at all. So
no.
So let me share some gun news. I guess was kind of interesting. We had a guy roll in on YouTube, and he was asking about HK 17 round magazines, and like, hey, have you seen these 17 round magazines for the VP9? I'm like, why, yes. And he was saying that like someplace has them. I'm like, oh, we got some from HK Corporate, a couple, month or so ago. And he said, and I'm quoting, that the HK gun forums were all up in arms because H&K, I guess, has a tagline that says no compromise. But supposedly this has caused some kind of pseudo theological debate. If the 15-round magazine was no compromise, then H&K changing it to make a 17-round magazine must be compromised.
Oh, are you fucking kidding me?
I know this sounds so crazy, but I was like, this is literally what's wrong with gun forums. And I'm just like, he's like, oh man, go search. And he named the forum. I don't even want to give him credit. Yeah. And I was like, dude, I don't do gun forums unless I need the classified section. Like I'm looking for something. I'm just like, dude, these people, yeah.
That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Well, when you spend all your time talking about guns and not shooting guns.
Speaking about H&K, Freeze, did you find a holster for that H&K that Marky tested last week?
Oh, we didn't look.
No.
I did. I actually, the holster because I was looking for holsters for the Wilson gun, I did find that holster.
Actually, I think I have a leather holster that H&K will fit in.
That well, here's the thing. The holster that you're referring to, the leather holster, we have another one here in the armory because I found it over the weekend going through holster drawers.
Yeah.
And it has like some weird like I don't know if it's THC or THS or something on the back. Yeah. I don't know what that stands for.
I have no clue.
But I'll take a look and see what that is and
but I
kind of go from there.
I think that might fit.
That
would be cool if it did. Hey, I've got an update on the Amish party. Ohio sheriff files charges after Amish hold large barn party. This is in God, I can't say the name of this county. Freeze, is it Geauga? Is it Gauga? Guga?
I have no clue.
County. Anyway, they've laid out charges against. Let's see here. We got there when there's a barn full of people. Some of them ran. The sheriff said there was one that was too intoxicated to run, and that person had to be transported by ambulance.
Oh, nice.
Let's see. Apparently, a few days before, the county health commissioner sent a letter to the Amish bishops about the alarming rate of coronavirus cases in the Amish community. I had no idea.
Well, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, look.
According to this, there are 76,000 Amish in Ohio.
Yeah, well, Ohio and Pennsylvania have very large Amish communities, but the problem is all the groups, we'll just leave it at that have high rates of coronavirus are the same groups of people that just can't stay home. They can't sequester themselves. They have to be in groups of people. Well, so they have a high rate of coronavirus. Well, that's what happens when you have a fucking barn party every goddamn night.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. I used to work at this. I gotta be careful here. I was this training company, and there's Amish around, and I remember I was tearing ass down this road. Like I'm trying to. It's early too. It's maybe 7 o'clock in the morning, because staff's got to be on site earlier than the classes. And I'm in some sports car, and I am hauling. I'm doing probably 80 down this 35-mile-an-hour road, but it's like a straight. It's hilly, but it's generally straight. You just come over the hills. And I remember coming over the hill, and like in the middle of the fucking road is a black one of these Amish carriages, and I was like, "Holy fuck!" I had no idea that this, and they're at the crack of dawn. They're up and out, getting their day started. Yeah. They probably milked all the cows already, so they're going to go to town or something. And it was just like, like even if you're doing 50, you come up on a horse and buggy that's doing 10. I mean, I bet you these guys get whacked all the time. It'd have been my fault. I mean, I about knocked this guy to Pennsylvania.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, the main highway out by Mitchell Range, I have almost run over. There's Mennonites out there, which are kind of like an offshoot of the Amish.
The Amish with cars, right?
Yeah, pretty much. We call them Hillbilly Amish.
Yeah.
They're the ones that have cell phones and they drive vehicles, and I mean, they do. but they have their carriages and they still live their, their tax-free, environment. But
they're tax-free.
Oh yeah, they don't have to pay taxes. And
really, I did not know that.
And the DNR gives them all the poached deers that they confiscate.
I never knew that.
Yeah, really. Yeah, well, at least they do in Indiana. But anyway, I've almost run over quite a few of them in their little carriages running down that road. Because, that's a pretty straight highway through there. And, you roll through it. And, yeah, I've almost run over quite a few of them over the years.
Yeah. Well, I remember also I had another one. And I wasn't speeding. It was actually nighttime. And I was coming back from this facility, and I'd taken a different way to cut through to a major road. And it must have been, I don't know, like it was a weekend. And I could tell, like I hit this kind of like this curvy area where it's more I wouldn't say residential, but you could tell there were more homes closer to the road and barns. And there were horse and buggies and girls on bicycles and Amish boys on bicycles. And it was pitch fucking dark. Like, and these buggies are black. I think I don't know if the bikes had even lights on them. They definitely had reflectors, but it was kind of scary because it was there. The kids were out for Saturday night. And, I mean, it wasn't late. It may have been, I don't know, 9 o'clock or something or 10.
Yeah.
It's probably later because it was summer. So I don't know, maybe 10:30. And it was like, I mean, like they were everywhere. Like it was like a traffic jam. And I'm like, man, I tell you what, if you're driving back here on these dark, windy roads that don't have deep lines of sight, and you come around a corner and all of a sudden you're just going to run into stuff you just don't think is going to be there. It doesn't even occur to you.
Yeah.
Like, you can maybe see a deer or a bunch of deer, but black buggies with black cars. And it was just like, holy cow, that's crazy. So, hey, on gun news, I know Freeze probably has not heard this. Danny, does anyone know who Mr. Guns and Gear is? He's a YouTube, Facebook, Instagram kind of guy.
I've heard of it, but I don't think I've watched it yet.
He's been around a long time. He does a lot of. He's a gear reviewer, which is fine, and he does a lot of gun sales. He doesn't sell guns, but he's literally a brand influencer, and he'll get codes from companies. And he'll promote products, and then you'll buy a product at use Mr. Guns and Gear code for like 10% off or whatever he does, and then he gets a kickback. I would imagine. I don't know that, but that's kind of how his business works. He has a huge Facebook page, and it got unpublished. I think late last week.
Really?
And apparently the argument was it wasn't for violating guns. It was talking about he attended a protest for the stay-at-home order. People that are like, I'm tired of staying home. And they show up somewhere. And I don't know if but he went there and I guess if we did that, we would probably post something from it. Well, Facebook basically said you're publishing or contributing to misinformation, and it's not safe. And they deleted his page, and he's had it for years. And it's just like, holy cow. I don't know if he'll get it back or not. I mean, it's just like kind of, I guess this COVID thing, it's amazing what you see happening. Like people are, I can't help but feel that some people are using COVID-19 to settle scores, to do things they would have liked to have done, but couldn't really justify it anyway. You know what I mean? It's like, it's like, some of these, like, hey, it goes both ways. Republicans, COVID-19, let's shut down abortion clinics. Democrats, COVID-19, let's shut down gun stores. It's like, really? What do either one of these two things have to do with COVID-19?
Yeah.
What are you doing? You're just resorting to your priors. You're just, that makes you feel good. And you're just using this as a means to whack something that you don't like. And so, you're doing it. And it's like, I think it's kind of craven. And I'm like, I was kind of surprised because when I heard, we set up John 1911, the entire reason it exists is because we expected everything to get shut down, and we did not want to have all this content on social media and have like all of our shit just gone. So we just started a website, and it's
which actually amazes me that we still have our Facebook page. To be honest with you.
Yeah, well, you know what? I guess we're the gun world's version of a prepper. And we're all like, screw you guys.
Now, Marky and Freeze, you guys are both wrong. Zuckerberg testified there is no Facebook overreach. Don't you remember?
Yeah.
Okay. You mean Data showed up from Star Trek and pretended and somehow pretended to be able to drink water through his rubber skin.
Yeah.
So you know.
Yeah.
That was just kind of I don't know. No one, you know. I mean, like Facebook and Bill Gates and this, you know, the World Health Organization and, you know, all these large institutions that are too big to control, and it's just inevitable that they're going to crash into shit. And they just want to pretend like, you know, these big centrally planned organizations, whether it's Facebook or the World Health Organization, just aren't going to have major fuck ups. You know, that's the weakness of large. That's the weakness of large organizations, whether it's business or whether it's governments or whether it's, you know, anything. Like
what upsets me is how, where do you draw the line? People going out protesting, hey, we want to get out, enough of this lockdowns, this or that. Would you deem that civil disobedience, or would you deem that exercising your constitutional rights?
Yes. Civil disobedience and exercising constitutional rights is kind of the same thing. Civil disobedience is the way I kind of understand it is, you know, you are engaging in activity that may not rise to the level of treason. Like you're not an enemy of the state, so don't overreact. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, you're doing 55 and a 45. We're going to execute you on the side of the road. It's like, come on, stop it. You know. I mean, the answer is yes.
Well,
to both.
because some
like,
states,
it's, you know,
and I believe Illinois is now one of them, that you must wear a mask if you're outside anywhere.
Yeah, but see that, and I've talked to Marky about this in private. I don't think we talked about it publicly, but the whole mask thing is bullshit. You know, first off, wrapping a fucking pair of underwear around your head is not going to do anything. 90% of the masks that are out there and available today are not N95 rated. And if they're not N95 rated, they don't do anything. Look, if a fart can get through your underwear and your jeans, the COVID-19 virus can get through that fucking non-N95 rated mask. I mean, it's just that simple. That mask doesn't do anything. It's a false sense of security to make the people feel better about themselves.
They said that the reality is the mask. Well, look, there were two things on this. First, they were like, don't get the masks. They don't do anything. We need them for the doc. It was like, they don't do anything, but we need them for the doctors. It's like, wait a minute, if they don't do anything, why do you need them? Well, then one of the other arguments I heard, and I'm not a doctor, I don't know shit about this. They were saying if you have it and, you know, you're exhaling dirty ass COVID-19 water molecules out of your mouth, that the mask will catch a lot.
Exactly.
So
but that's exactly why the doctors need it. Like, okay, when you go into surgery, everyone in there is wearing a mask. Those masks are not N95 rated masks. Those masks are not to keep viruses and germs out of you. Those masks are to keep your body fluids out of the patient's body cavity or any of the patient's body fluids squirting into your mouth or nose. That's all those masks are for. It's for body fluids. It's not for viruses.
I just had this image of body fluids squirting in surgery. It's like,
it happens all the time.
Why do you got to say squirting?
Yeah.
Why do you got to say squirting, Ron Jeremy?
Well, you know, I could say, you know, it's to keep the moist body fluids down.
The moist. Oh, Marky, you wanna allude to Ron Jeremy? I just thought of something back to the hair portion of our pod. when I see you shooting and watching your videos, I think to myself, especially if you sent me your high school yearbook picture, I think to myself, that used to be all waves. Now it's just beach.
Well, yeah. Ouch. That was vicious.
Yeah, let me tell you something. My haircut and Freeze's haircut are two completely different skill sets.
Oh, absolutely.
My haircut is just running a clipper across your skull. Freeze is the one that still gets the fancy haircut. Like he needs like an actual you probably don't even go to a barber. Your girl, she's not a barber, is she? She's a beautician.
She's a hairstylist.
A beautician.
She's a hairstylist. Heck yeah. She's a professional.
Well, at my house.
Speaking of.
Hey, what are you saying? Most of my barbers are ex-convicts?
Yeah, basically anyone who spent time in prison can run clippers. What the hell? Hey, but look, speaking of high school pictures, Marky posted a long time ago one of my high school pictures. It was me with a shoulder holster and a Mac-10 standing in front of an old Mustang. Do you remember that?
I know the camp.
Remember.
Save someone.
I gotta find that picture.
It's posted somewhere. I don't know. It might be on Facebook.
Well, at my house, the dog clippers serve a dual purpose. That's all I'll say about my hairstyle.
Oh my god!
Oh man, but yeah. So
Freeze, you
that's my high school.
When you're going down to the ghetto,
Hey, speaking of political correctness gone awry, Freeze, you're familiar with Land O'Lakes butter?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Land O'Lakes butter.
No.
Have you heard about this?
I have.
The Land O'Lakes butter. So Land O'Lakes butter, for the listener that doesn't know, Land O'Lakes butter, you've seen it your whole life because it's been around for 100 years. This logo, but it'll be this Green Valley or whatever it is, and there's like this squaw Indian in the middle holding up, I think, a stick of butter or whatever. And
I think she's holding up corn or maize or some shit like that. But
yeah. And So what they did is Land O'Lakes has apparently been very uncomfortable with that image for a while. So they took this opportunity during when a lot of people maybe couldn't go to the store. I'm not sure why now, but they there's no way they did it. They came up with it now, but they have removed this woman from the box.
Yeah.
It's the same box, it's the same graphic, it's the same font, everything's the same generally. They moved a few things in text around, but they just removed the woman and kept so you can still see the butter on the shelf is what it is. And I guess it's there's people out there like we're a Land O'Lakes family and they're super upset by this, and we're a Land O'Lakes. I'm never going to buy your PC bullshit again, even though it was always more expensive. And it's just like, how much butter do you fucking eat, you fucking cow? And then the other one, this girl, she sent it to her father, and like the image like showing the before and after of the squaw on the box and the squaw not on the box. And Dad said something along the lines of, yeah, we finally got rid of that bitch and took her land.
Oh, that's nice. But look, okay.
It was,
the whole Land O'Lakes thing just pisses me off. But look, I'm not mad at Land O'Lakes, and I'm not going to like stop buying Land O'Lakes butter. Actually, to be honest with you, I don't buy the butter in this household, so I don't know if that's what we even eat.
Of course you don't.
But look, I'm not going to boycott the Land O'Lakes people, but it just pisses me off when all these fucking prima donna casino fucking owners want to bitch about, oh, you got to change the name of your sports team. You got to take the fucking Indian chick off the fucking logo.
Hold on. I want you to stop right there. I do not believe that any Indian groups were actually complaining.
They might not have, but they did it due to PC.
Now, wait, yeah, they did it through the PC, but here's the thing. When you look into the groups that typically complain about this kind of stuff and you dig into it, it's normally like one dude that's like a mail drop. Like, it's not like the nation of this person's, I represent the nation of Saskatchewan Indian something or other, and it's like, you're fucking mail drop. No one's heard of you.
Kind of like the guy that that yelled at the Covington Catholic school kid.
Exactly. Yeah.
He's the one dude.
Yeah, really? You fucking. Yeah, the one guy. So, but hold on. Here's the other thing. So, I predict a lot of this stuff. When you look at it, it's very stylized. And you know how you'll look back and you'll see like like the Whitney pistol, like, or it looks like a Buck Rogers gun. Things, style moves through society. And I'm convinced that at some point in the future, people will start to bring back some of these logos because they're not going to be so sensitive about it. And as a matter of fact, there'll be Indian groups that'll be like, oh, yeah, we kind of miss having, kind of reminded people that we're here too. And they'd like to have, this will swing back. And these will no longer be politically incorrect. It'll be like, hey, it's more nostalgic and we're paying homage to, to some of our heritage of our country. Heritage, not hate, is not just always something that people can say with the Confederate flag. Again, I'm not defending the Confederate flag. It's not a Confederate flag. It's Lee's flag. The Confederate flag looks like something else. But that's the problem. People don't know what they're talking about. I think this is going to swing back. But
so what you're saying is cigar store Indians will be back in vogue.
I think they will. I think this will come back. Well, also, Freeze, and here's the thing. Since you live in Cincinnati, do you remember when Procter & Gamble got rid of their man in the moon symbol?
I do.
They had that symbol for 100 years.
Yeah, but it was linked to some people said it was like satanic and had all this crazy nonsensical bullshit behind it. So they just got rid of it.
Well, hold on here. So hold on. What's the thing? So, like, for example, I think people can take symbols and ruin them or try to ruin them. Procter & Gamble, that man in the moon symbol was a symbol that they came up with to sell soap 150 years ago, whatever it was. That symbol had nothing to do with any of this crazy bullshit that people talk about. And now that they removed the symbol, no one talks about it. No, there's no like this man in the moon fucking cult thing going on. It's it's just something for people that are bored, that don't have any real challenges in life, so they make up shit to be upset about. And so they got rid of that symbol because it got ruined. And you remember Colin Kaepernick tried to do this. Colin Kaepernick tried to say that the Betsy Ross flag with the circular stars was a racist something flag. And people just got to the point where they're like, fuck you. You cannot have the Betsy Ross flag. The Betsy Ross flag belongs to American history. It belongs to all of us. It's not racist. It has nothing to do with white supremacy. It has nothing to do with his bullshit. Stop making shit up to take away. You cannot have it. They told the guy, you cannot have it. Shut the fuck up. And you know what? You don't hear any bullshit about the Betsy Ross flag anymore. That just
I heard
one of the keys to happiness in life.
If I heard about it, I don't even remember the Betsy Ross issue, but so it was
a hot topic for about a week, and then it's boom, and it's gone. And it's just, that's kind of like this Land O'Lakes thing. I think eventually I don't know if it'll be like our grandkids, but this will.
I doubt it. They'll probably take the Pocahontas or whatever the chick's name was off the box, and 6 months, a year from now, no one will even remember the damn chick was on.
Well, Freeze, you might remember this, but I remember when the feminists were griping about Elsie the cow because she was in a dress and a necklace. Now all you see is the face. They took that away.
That is true, but in the whole thing that I thought was stupid about the whole Elsie the cow issue is the feminists were like, oh, she's got like, I think it was like a pearl necklace. And a dress, but it's like what the feminists failed to realize was it wasn't Elsie the fucking bull, it was Elsie the cow.
Correct.
Cows are females. I mean, so I thought the whole the whole Elsie the cow thing was just totally fucking ridiculous. But
you know what? That's a good point, because most people that live in big cities they think cow is a cow,
Go milk
like
the bull.
cat is a cat.
yeah.
I mean, like they would probably be like, "Oh yeah, dude got gored by a cow."
Yeah, no, he did not. Well, actually, he could have got gored by a cow because there are certain breeds of cows that do have horns.
I know.
But,
I know.
But
you
for the most
understand,
part,
like, yeah,
no,
you
it's you get gored by the bull. So,
well, that's where the term bitch comes from.
Unbelievable.
Dude, it's a bitch in heat.
Yeah.
It actually wasn't it wasn't really supposed to be
a derogatory term.
It
Hey,
was.
you want
it was
to
a
talk
farm,
about
farm
animals? The guy, maybe a half mile from me, he has these little pygmy sheep. I've never seen a meaner son of a bitch in my life than those things. He's in this.
Pygmy sheep.
Pygmy goats.
Are they goats? Are they goats?
Yeah,
goats or sheep?
Pygmy goats. Well,
I've seen the goats.
In the same pasture with his cows and the bull, and the cattle run from those little, whatever you want to call them. They're so mean, it's unbelievable.
I'm surprised he can keep them in. Goats are notorious for escaping. They're hard to keep in.
Are they? So, are you saying they have short goat syndrome?
Well,
nice.
They have something, but all I know is, I literally have been driving by and have seen these pygmy goats chasing the full-size bull, and the bull is running.
Huh.
I don't know her personally. I know who she is professionally. There's a woman. She's a fitness woman. I'm not saying anything out of turn here, but she had these goats, and she's an animal lover. I think they're even vegetarian, and they lived in Pennsylvania, and they decided they were going to move to Montana, and they brought all their animals with them, and they tried to do what they could. They brought their goats and all kinds of stuff to Montana, and one night they had their goats like out in their little thing, and like their little pen, and they didn't either they wasn't secured enough or it wasn't secured at all, but they didn't really appreciate that a mountain lion was going to look at a bunch of goats in a little goat cabin as like a TV dinner. And they either got up or came home or something, and it was a slaughter. And it was kind of like a wake up call to realize that, all this cutesy animal stuff, there's the other side of the coin. Yeah. The animal has to eat.
Uh-huh.
When the goat is in the grass, eating a worm or eating a piece of grass, and there's some aphid on the grass going, holy shit, there's a giant goat tooth coming, going to rip me off the grass. There's the other side is, holy shit, there's a mountain lion that's about to have lamb chop.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of one of those people, they project all this stuff onto these animals and these scenarios. And, sometimes it can end tragically. And I see that. I always wonder.
It makes you wonder.
What are you doing?
I live out in the country, and I'm glad I do. It makes you wonder how many city people don't have a clue of the difference of living out here. And I just don't mean bigger yards and lots or whatever. I mean, totally, they are not acclimated to anything that goes on out here.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right. There's a lot of people that have spent their entire life in the city have no clue what country life is like. And, when you take a person raised in the city and put them out on a farm for a couple of weeks, totally blows them away.
Well, it's just the other day we had a motorist tried to pass the tractor. He's pulling an 8-row planter. Well, he tried and tried. A car came at him, and the guy ended up in the ditch. He wanted the farmer to get the ticket. Yeah, I mean, the stupidity of it.
No,
I mean, it doesn't happen that way, but it doesn't surprise me that that's his mindset, though.
Farmers on roads and the way people behave around them is a huge sore spot with the farming community.
It is. But I'll tell you what, you're out in the country, like you're out by the range and you run over a farmer's tractor, you are in a world of shit.
No, you're not running over a farmer's tractor for shit. You'll be
but what I'm saying is, if a farmer's chugging down the road, with his equipment and you hit him, you're in for a world of shit.
Yeah, there's some equipment that those boys run around the range that when you come around a curve,
oh yeah, they are.
It's both lanes.
Oh,
like this stuff is huge.
Hell, my cousin's got a freaking combine that he can't even drive down a 2-lane highway with the head on it. The head's got to come off and be turned sideways and put on a flatbed.
Yeah, it is. That's got to be a 12-row head.
They must be
huge.
I don't know how many roads, but I'm telling you what, if he straddled the double yellow line, the head would stick off each side of the road. He can't drive it on the highway.
I believe that.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, we've been going long, guys, and I don't want to. We're gonna lose everybody here in a minute. So I want to go ahead and wrap this up with a COVID-19 update, and then I guess our police blotter. So the COVID-19 update is, how we were all debating Freeze whether you and I had the COVID-19, the commie cough. I like commie cough. I don't like China. I don't like the China thing. I like
that too.
Well, they are now saying they've done some autopsies, and they know for 100% certainty that there are people that died of commie cough in California, February 6th, February 17th, and March 6th. I don't remember when I got sick, but you got sick a week or 10 days before I did. But here's the thing: if this person died February 6th, they probably caught it a week or two earlier. That's that's in January. Yeah. And also, reports are coming out of China. They knew about this. Local officials saw signs of this issue in Wuhan in November.
There you go.
And it's like, from November, January, February, 4 months to get to.
Well, isn't it if you catch it, it's a 14-day gestation?
They don't, dude. They don't know dick. They're making. It changes every day. This is very similar to like when AIDS happened. No one wanted to shake each other's hands. People didn't want to be around. Because it was like they weren't really sure how this fucking shit worked. And we'll go in the future. People will look back on what we all did today, and they'll be super judgy. Because they're going to be like, well, you guys were stupid. Because everyone knows X, Y, and Z, 1, 2, and 3. And it's like, well, you know what? Needle dick in 2025? Nobody fucking actually knew that in 2020. Yeah. We were all trying to figure it the fuck out. Mr.
Yeah, it's easy. It's easy to look back on
hindsight versus foresight.
When you know the facts. Yeah.
So here's my police blotter. We'll go ahead and wrap this one up. So this one reminds me because I knew a woman that actually had this happen to her. There's a where's this at? Come on. A woman breast implant deflected bullet saved a woman's life.
Nice.
The bullet caused the change of trajectory of the implant caused a change of trajectory of the bullet. The surgeon said, and the wound entry on the left breast, but the rib fracture was on the right side. So the bullet entered the skin on the left side first, and then ricocheted across her sternum into the right breast and broke her rib on the right side. The shooting took place in 2018 in Toronto. It is one of a handful of documented instances of medical journals where breast implants have saved a person's life. And because I had an employee. She took a round in the chest and turned and ran, and it was her breast implant stopped it. And it's the first instance where a silicone implant actually changed the trajectory of a bullet, according to the authors. Again, it's Canada. We got more shootings here. Let's see. One prior study showed how a saline implant had saved someone by slowing a bullet's speed. Now, I recall the girl that I knew. She had saline implants because none of them had silicone because I think for medical. But I remember it being saline. And I think isn't saline basically water and you can't compress water.
Salt water.
And you can't compress water. So that's one of the things with hydraulics. Water, you cannot compress water. So it's why it's so hard. Like, it actually works really well. I just thought that was interesting. So, like, so any girl that's got big old knocking boob implant, she's basically got she's doing double duty with body armor.
I mean,
well,
that's cool.
That's
good to know. So the next. I was just going to say, so the next time I go to the doctor, I need to look into implants.
Okay, Bruce Jenner. Okay. And that wraps up episode 172 of the John 1911 Podcast. If you want to see picture stories or links of anything we discussed, please go to our website, john1911.com. That's JOHN1911.com. Remember, it's all about shooting guns and having fun. Everybody,
bye-bye.
Have a good day.
See you later.
The bulletproof vest. They should rename the implant Second Chance.
Second chance.
Oh, God.
Nice.
Oh, God. Second chance. There's a double entendre there.